Greetings, everybody. I'm Will Tagle, and Dean of the Wisdom School Graduate Study, and so glad that you're here with us today for a very potentiated conversation, beginning with Esperide Anas, and I'm going to introduce her a little bit more later, but I just want to say to everyone who's participating, we'll have some time for conversation later on, and we're going to hear from Sheila Safer some about an Earth Tribe community, which is a relative of Damanhur in the sense of spirit, and then we'll hear from some other participants, and we want to hear from some of you about your community and what on earth is a wise community anyway. How can we track that theme today? And most of all, we want to open our hearts to each other as we encourage ourselves in the realm of possibility for not only the human community, but the larger Gaia community. To begin today, I want to invite Judith to offer a moment of meditation and focus for us.
Okay, lovely having all of you here today. This is very potentiated, as Will said. I just invite you to take a moment to relax, to close your eyes, to take a breath and exhale. Feel yourself fully in your body. And just imagine that you're in a circle of beloveds, your community, wherever you are, whoever they are, and joining with the larger community, joining with the spirits and energies of the four directions. We're going to call in the four directions just as a map to follow. Calling to the east, we ask for letting go of old ideas and bringing in new information. For seeing with clear eyes, like the eagle sees. For letting ourselves be open to new beginnings. Each time we wake up in the morning is a new beginning. We call in the energies of the south. Often, the divine feminine is seen in the south. We ask for her guidance. We ask for the vulnerabilities in our lives to teach us about being vulnerable and how we can learn from that. We ask that the coyote, the trickster, bring us a sense of humor, which is always a good way to walk. In the West, we talk about endings and letting go. We let everything go that isn't serving us now and ask the spirits and energies of the West to facilitate our need to go deeply within ourselves, just as the bear goes into hibernate. We go to the North, asking the North for help with our mind, having a clear mind, asking the North to bless us with courage and strength, and to be as a buffalo, strong and stalwart. There are many, many, many other attributes to this map, but this is just a way to bring in the four directions. We can also pray to the earth and the sky, and all of our relations and the ancestors. Spirit, weave our circle tight. Hold us in your perfect light. Earth, air, fire, and water leads us to you. Aho! We begin our meeting, our gathering. Thank you so much.
Aho, Judith, and thank you for that that beginning and setting of an energetic context. It's really such a privilege for me and for all of us at Spirit A to have you in our circle. Spirit A, Judith and the Spirit A and I were privileged to be together in Hawaii a few years ago, and really resonated. And this is the next step, actually. And the Spirit A has worked for the European Parliament as a consultant for Italian and international organizations, and is a long-time participant in this Damanhur community in northern Italy. And that's really what we want to talk about today. So welcome, Ms. Faraday.
Hi, convoy with you. This is how we greet in Damanhur.
Good, good.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to be with you here tonight in this conversation. You said I'm a participant of Damanhur. Maybe the way we would say is that I'm a citizen. I've been living in Damanhur for 24 years, so it's quite a long time, and participating in the experiment that Damanhur wants to be. This idea that we really need to start living differently if we want to have a future on our planet. So Damanhur is not only a community, but also, you know, a dream and a template and possibly an example for a different future for humanity.
Yeah, so just to get some broad outlines, I've heard from you and others that about 1,000 people are involved in your community as either citizens or related in some way. And just give us some broad headlines about Damanhur to begin with.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the number of people that live in the valley where we are. We are in the northern part of Italy, the Pre-Alps, very beautiful and pristine mountain valley that was abandoned in the 60s. So when we created Damanhur at the end of the 70s, there was a lot to do and everything had to be rebuilt or built. But the good thing is that, for instance, there was never agriculture that was not organic. There were not big roads. The place had been kept as it was. So that now, 40 years later, it's really an advantage, because when you come, everything is beautiful, and we didn't have to go through the reconversion phase. We could start like on a fresh land, and that's very good. We are now at the 3rd generation. So we have children born of children that were born in Damanhur. They're not children anymore. And we have our own elected bodies. Of course, we follow the Italian laws. We have to, because we're in Italy. But we also function as our own independent state, if you will. And last year, for the first time, two young women that are children of Damanhurians have been elected to be the spiritual guides of Damanhur. So this for us, for the whole community, has been very important, a rite of passage, if you will, and a symbol of, you know, the older generation really giving space and trust to the younger ones, which for us is now indispensable. As you probably might know, our founder died 3 years ago. And so we had to go through a phase of really reconsidering, how do we want to continue? How can we continue? What is the best way after losing the man who had the vision and was our spiritual teacher? And so having these young people now at the lead of Damanhur is also for us an important symbol of how we've been able, and we are renewing ourselves.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. I wonder, you know, you've been a citizen of Damanhur since 1993, something like that.
Correct. Yes. In 1992, I got involved with the community because I was asked to help them with the press campaign to save the magnificent temples of humankind that they had been building for 16 years at the time, completely in secret, because there was no way to get permission. And so when the police found them at first, they thought they were discovering a dangerous cult and a horrible thing. But when the judge entered, he was so moved that he said, "I'll do everything I can to help you." And one of the things he did was not to break the news to the press and telling the community, "You find your way. how you want to tell the world about your temples. And so that's how I was invited to go and see the temples. So I was the first person that was not a Damanhur and not a policeman to enter the temples in 1992. And then I got so touched, first of all, by these people that were so dedicated to this idea of helping humanity, that besides their own normal work and the normal chores of everyday life, they were spending weekends, nights, and every single free moment excavating this mountain and filling it with beautiful art. So I really wanted to discover who they are, and I'm still discovering 24 years later. I never left.
Yeah. So as you've connected with this powerful community, in what kinds of connections have you made personally that have made a difference for you in your own transformation and evolution?
Good question. Well, as you said in the beginning, I worked for the European Parliament. I also did some consulting work in New York connected to the United Nations. So I always wanted to change the world. But what I understood in Damanhur is that unless we start from our own transformation and we connect to the forces, the divine forces, the forces of our planet, the elements, the devas, however you want to call them, and we do this in community together, well, there's not going to be any real change. So that for me was a very big awakening. And then, of course, I had to start with myself. And so I left my beautiful Milan PR clothes, and I bought boots, and I moved to this mountain valley, and I said, okay, let's leave. It's a new life. Let's start again. And now, luckily, I travel around the world, and I get to wear my beautiful hat from time to time. So everything came together. I didn't lose anything. I just enriched my experience so much.
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of spiritual practices do you connect with within the community?
Damanhur has a very, very complex spiritual tradition and spiritual understanding, both taking ancient traditions and finding the essence of them to see what is common and what is at the heart of every human, and also connecting to a possible idea of a future humanity, as if we were remembering the future. And many of us in Damanhur have been feeling, or the understanding, this was part also of our founder, that we actually are coming back from the future to create a different timeline that does not relate, that does not take us to destruction. As if the events that we're living now somehow have already happened, but we're trying to rewrite history to find ourselves on a different timeline and a different result. So within this very broad context, we have many different what we call ways in Damanhur. The artists will work through the arts, the healers through the healing arts. I am part of what is called the way of the oracle. And we are a group of people that connect specifically to divine forces that supersede time and timelines.
Yeah.
So a lot of work also, when I work with helping people reactivating the memories of their past lives, so working with memories of Atlantis, so working with the reconnection of all of this in a more holographic design.
Mm-hmm. So in some ways, if I'm hearing you yourself have a sense that participating, part of the wisdom of your community is this ability to transcend our usual experience of time.
This is crucial in Damanhur, absolutely, and our understanding of time as a territory of eternal presence, where things, events happen all at the same time, and changing one event in one point can change things in the future and also in the past. And the awareness that everything is simultaneous, and at a certain point, things become real. They exist because they're special moments of, we call them divine attention, but we can also say that the universe is at that moment coalescing to make whatever happened real. And we are now living in times that are getting close to some of these very important appointments. That's why it's so important that people really now do the best they can to awaken, to do practical action, and understand that nobody can do this together. That's why we really need community.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think that really is kind of one of the points of our gathering today is that uh, transformation, evolution is happening primarily in these communities that Earth herself is sprouting, the cosmos is sprouting on the face of the Earth for us to connect with in some way that will facilitate this. But I want to stay with you personally for just a second. I just got back from a neuroscientific conference that was focusing on addiction and trauma. So I'm really fascinated with your notion that if we can get in the space-time fabric of the continuum, if there's some way for us to heal the past and the future. So have you had experiences, for example, in your own life of events that happened that there's been healing in the past in such a way that it's opened up new possibilities for you?
We have, yeah, this is a good question. In Damanhur, we have developed a very specific discipline that we call Selfika.
Yeah.
And Selfika allows for the interaction, the communication with fields of intelligence, or fields of energies that normally are not accessible unless we build the device that make the connection. It's like if we want to use electricity to make light, we need to build all the structures so that we can use the light bulb or the LED, whatever we're using. Yeah. So we've been using Selfika also to go and change the energetic trace of events in the past. This can be done also with our Selfika. We just found that doing it with these specific energies made it very effective. So if you change, you cannot change an event that happened in the past per se, but you can completely change the interpretation of that event, and therefore the energetic trace that it leaves in your body, in your mind, in your memory. So when you think of it, you don't go back to a track of memory that is linked to trauma, which then we know we'll call other traumas and make this big thing that conditions us in the future.
Yeah.
So this is part of the work that we've been doing.
Yeah, could you give us an example of that, maybe from your own life?
Okay, I'll give you an example that is not so traumatic, because I've had some traumatic ones, but I'd rather share something that it wasn't so, but it was the episode that made me understand how we can do this. I speak several languages, and I always thought, that it was just like that. And I had, when I started doing this work, we started with events that were not super traumatic, but we left a trace. And I remember that when I went to school for the first time, elementary school, I was the only child that could not read anything on the blackboard because my parents had chosen to let me play more and they didn't want to send me to kindergarten. But the teacher knew that all the kids knew, so she was asking them to read on that blackboard, and everybody could, and I couldn't. And I felt like humiliated, and I felt like I was, stupid. And I kept this feeling for a long time in my life. When I started doing this work, I was suggested that maybe I could read it differently. And I could say that maybe that was the energy that made me think that from that moment on, I always wanted to understand everything. And that's why I got such a passion for languages. So that changed everything.
Yeah.
Now, when I think of that moment, I think, wow, that was the great moment in my life that gave me all the gifts that I have now.
Yeah. So in that sense, I'm fascinated with your Selfika reference. And I want to throw something out, and I'll say this to the larger circle of people all around the globe that are listening and viewing us now. Judith and Esperade and Dan and Sheila, others of us are going on a pilgrimage to Damanhur in July. And we're going to be exploring a lot of different things. And I want to explore the Selfika in just a moment, but I'd like for you to share with the group here how the founder, Falco, really wrote a series of letters, and that somehow relates to our pilgrimage. If you could kind of clue us in on that.
I'm sorry I didn't hear you for a second. What was exactly about Selfika that you'd like me to?
Yeah, if I know that Falcon left some letters that were read, and somehow an invitation for this pilgrimage grew out of that, your experience of that.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, as I said, Falco died 3 years ago, and one of the most important, one of the things that were dearest to his heart, and very important when he died, he left instructions to really invite shamans that he called the grandfathers and the grandmothers of humanity to come to Damanhur, to use the temples they rebuilt to become the largest selfic structure in the world. So they have this incredible energy field, to ask them to perform their ceremonies in a very special, beautiful crystal spiral that we built for this, so that we can send this message, this resonance on the world. So we are really now inviting you, Will, specifically to come, and you, Judy, to bring your wisdom to perform a ceremony, and all of us and your students there will create the field, so we can send all of this lineage, all this wisdom on the synchronic lines, on the energy lines of the planet. And more people will be able to dream of these values in their, when they sleep, or just, they will reawaken them, because this is really of fundamental importance now to accelerate the process of awakening.
Yes, so this is a very important thing, because as I'm experiencing it, we're going to be bringing a certain lens and energetic perspective to Damanhur, but perhaps even more important, Damanhur's developed these Selfika and other devices, I will call them, I don't know if that's correct,
yes,
but tuning devices into the cosmos that will assist us in connecting with a different future for humanity and for the planet. And this is very important, because Damanhur has created what I would call a part of the neural system of Gaia, so that we can communicate through the actual devices that you created there.
Yes, and as you know, we've been working not just with the Selfika devices, but with the trees also. Very, very important work with the plant kingdom and the consciousness of the trees. And after the trees, we did also connecting to the divas, to the nature spirits, to all the different energetic worlds of our planet, the different consciousness, because we really need to find a unity now, a point of resonance in which humans, plants, nature spirits, we're all together. Then we can connect to higher divine forces and really change events on the timelines. So it's really important that now we do this together. We have created the platform, the springboard, and we're inviting other people that have the right level of consciousness, and they're ready to use it.
Yeah, well, already all of us who are connecting with you and your good energy can get a feeling from what it is like to be at Damanhur, which I like your idea of a springboard, where we can dive, jump on the springboard and do some flips and some.
Absolutely, we really need some tricks and some flips if we're gonna make it. So let's use all the tricks we can.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I can't emphasize enough for those of you who are hearing about Damanhur for the first time, and I've never been there, so this is going to be new for me as well. But this notion that you have about 1,000 people here who have been there for 35, 40 years or even longer, and several generations, and you have your own monetary system and some of your own educational system.
Currency, education, schools, companies, farms, everything. Almost every, I would say every aspect of life has been reinterpreted and recreated.
Yes, and
continues to be, because change is really the main characteristic of Damanhur. So we're describing something that is in one way now, will be different in 6 months and different again in the future, like a living organism. That's the most important thing. And I think this is also one of the reasons why communities are so important. because we can change fast. We're not like huge societies where it's very difficult to bring change. Communities can change and adapt and be resilient and creative and continue to grow.
Yes.
So the people that live there continue to grow. It's a reciprocal effect.
You and I haven't talked about this, but I heard this from someone who had visited. They said you had taken over what used to be a factory
We did.
and made
Years
a mall out of it or something like that. So tell us a little bit about that.
We bought, as I said, the valley was abandoned in the 60s. And one of the things that they abandoned was this very large Olivetti factory. Do you remember Olivetti, the typewriters?
The typewriter.
Yes. This was the main company in the area. And the founder was a very enlightened man. And he said, we cannot take people away from the mountain valleys, otherwise everything will die. So he built several factories where he had very advanced experiments in cooperatives, very often of women. So very, very advanced. This was in the 60s. When he died, his heir said, this is not cost effective. We don't care. They want to work. They move to the city. So all these factories were abandoned. And we had a large one abandoned for 30 years, right where we are. So we bought it, we restored it, and that is now our center for meetings, for the arts, workshops, the healing center, massage center, organic hairdresser. Most of our services are there.
Yeah, well, that last part was really important. An organic hairdresser.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What talk about transformation and hope in a world of chaos and disorder, where your community embraced a factory and out of that has come a whole plethora of human and larger than human creativity.
Well, something that gives really a lot of hope to us also is that for the last 15 years, we've been managing the town. So the mayor of this, it's not a town, it's a small village. The small village where we have most of our settlements and the temples is a Damanhurian. And it has been elected also local people. It's the second Damanhurian mayor we have. So this is really also a fantastic thing, good new thing.
Yeah. So one of our participants in this circle today just typed in a question and said, "How do you spell Damanhur?" Because he would like to go on.
Good question. Damanhur.
Damanhur. Yeah.
Yes.
And you also can see that in the information that we sent out ahead of time. But really and truly, go to the website, the Damanhur website, because you get a sense. We haven't even really talked that much about the incredible creativity of artwork that you have there. So you might say something about that.
Well, yeah, we felt that from the very beginning, one of the most important tools for spiritual awakening is really the arts. And we believe that everybody's an artist. So the whole community has always been engaged in arts of all forms, from cooking, that of course in Italy is very important, the art of cooking, and to the building of the temples. So we have been building these incredible underground temples called the Temples of Humankind. Again, online they can see photographs. They're huge construction, completely inside the mountain, because that's where the energy lines were most active where we are. So we needed to build inside the mountain, built by hand, and the whole thing has been and still is an incredible work of art. From the excavation, 2 million buckets of rock, we counted more or less, and then the building of the halls and the decoration, all the different arts that go in there. So it's really at the core of Damanhur.
No, I'm really looking forward to being in the temple that you mentioned and experiencing it as a tuning device into larger consciousness, and also creating ceremony there and elsewhere where you think that it would be good for us to find a connection and
we have several places. I think you'll really enjoy it. We won't run out of sacred places for you to explore and use.
Yeah. Well, we'll be singing and we'll be chanting and we'll be joining with the energy of this beautiful community. I'm just feeling encouraged as I talk with you. You know, it's for the many people who registered for today and are tuning in. Just feel the difference between this and watching CNN. You know, this sense of hope, this sense of expression, this sense that we can actually make a difference in the past and the present and the future.
Because we can, we really can. We really, really can. And whenever they tell us that we can't, it's a lie. And yeah, it is possible. It definitely is possible.
And I love your statement that your assumption is that we're all artists. And that reminds me of the Toltecs and their notion of having a wedding between science and art. So when we visit Damanhur, one of the things that we want to do is to take the medicine wheel as we practice it and take the neural system in our skull and in our heart and in our intestines and in our spines and seeing how the medicine wheel that you created, that we created, can become neural cells, new neural cells for communicating with the larger consciousness of our planet and make a difference.
Wonderful.
So
wonderful. Just like each one of us, you know, when we're part of a community that has a unity of ideas and intentions and action, each one of us becomes a cell of a larger body.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pause here. We're going to come back to you, Esperide, but I want to take a moment and let Heather Ash Amara, one of our co-hosts here, respond so far to what you've heard from Esperide. Heather Ash Amara.
You said so hopeful to hear just the passion of people coming together and creating beauty and art and figuring out how do we live together as humans. So I'm so excited to meet you and to hear about Damanhur and to remind all of us that we can start creating community exactly where we are. And that Damanhur started with a seed, it started with a thought, and that each of us are little cells, and that if each of our little cells where we are start to reach out and create community, and it doesn't have to look like all of us living together, though that sounds so good, but it might be that we're coming together once a week with a group of people in order to pray or in order to vision something different. And that the more that each of us can take that power and that responsibility and that hope, because I feel like sometimes what happens now with the news and what's happening is there is that sense of hopelessness. And so if we can use this today to remind ourselves, we are the hope. We don't have to look outside to find that hope because it's not being mirrored in too many places right now. But if we can generate that sense of faith and hope, connect ourselves energetically with the many people around the world, including the Damanhurians, to know that there's juice and creativity and art happening and consciousness, then we can use that to anchor it where we are. And that's what the planet needs, is as many of these new anchors as possible all around the world that are connected.
Yeah, and as you're talking, Heather Ash, I'm aware that another pilgrimage we take every year to the Teotihuacan pyramids of the Toltecs in late October. Wow, bringing the powerful energy of Damanhur and connecting it with the Toltecs. What a possibility. In fact, some of the people on the pilgrimage are going to be in both places.
Yes.
So we will link together these energy lines that move through the earth from Damanhur to the pyramids. So I'm really looking forward to the experience of that. the experience? What does it feel like? What in my body, how do I resonate with these two powerful tuning places? And that's good.
Yeah.
I wonder if you notice any similarities between your Toltec tradition and what Esperidae is talking about.
Definitely with the piece of being artists, and also that place of that we're here to create our art and to do that in community. And that's something that the Toltecs did at Teotihuacan, that they knew that the structures that they were creating weren't just for the people that were there, they were for all of humanity. And that each of us has a responsibility to continue, and I'm sure this is true with Damanhur, to continue to release the old agreements and beliefs, to change the timelines from our past. That's very familiar. That's very Toltec as well. That there is nothing set. Everything is fluid. And when we really begin to recognize that there is fluidity in the timelines, in our own being, that we can take down the old structures from the past, from the future, and that changes everything. That every action that we take, when we take it with consciousness and intent, ripples out everywhere, affects not only our being, but affects everyone around us and everything around us. And that we are a part of something much, much greater. That we get caught sometimes in thinking it's just my human experience. But the truth is that we're part of this huge web of life that includes the spirit world, the invisible world, the plants, the animals, the humans, that all of that can inform, I should say, our choices when we allow our consciousness to grow in that way.
Oh, thank you so much. That is a powerful link. And now I want to bring in Sheila Safer for just a moment. Hello, Sheila.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here.
Yeah, I want to get your response to Esperidae, and then I'll talk to you about some other matters. But what's your response to Esperidae?
Well, I want to say a thought that came into my mind while we were talking was a recent trip to Teo at the pyramids, where I realized that one of our tuning devices was community.
Mm.
And we could feel it when we were there. And everything that Esperidae has been referring to confirms that in fact, the community is a tuning device, as well as all these separate techniques and ways of doing things. But the community itself reaches out to the field in a really powerful way, more powerfully and effectively than individuals can. And we got to experience that in Teo as well.
So that's right. Now, I know you're planning to go on this pilgrimage to Damanhur. So this is your chance to ask Esperidae any question you want to ask her.
Oh my. Okay, that's a pretty exciting thought. I am very excited about being in Damanhur. And let's see. Well, the question that comes to my mind at the moment is, how can we as individuals open ourselves more completely to the eco field, to the information that's coming through the field in that moment? And you all seem to be leading the pathway in how you do that.
Good.
I think you have already answered this question yourself with what you were saying before, because actually community is not one of the tuning forks. It's not one of the tools. Community is the basis for everything. Mm-hmm. All the other fields open because there is community. And community as we mean it is not just community because we live together, but because by being in community, we create a sort of, it's an entity. It's an energetic entity, then becomes sacred. And it's from up on this collective field that everything else can connect. So the connection with the trees of the selfic or the cosmos could not be there if we're not a community. And actually, Damanhur, we don't call it community, we call it people, a people in the ancient sense of the indigenous people that recognize each other. They know who their ancestors are. They know that when they die, if they so choose, they can come back to continue the work in that context. So I would say that that's what we need. And once that is in place, then we can open more easy to all the other fields. But it's not something that we are supposed to be doing alone. And I think this has been, and I speak now, for Damanhur's perspective, this has been one of the great tricks played on humanity so that we will not awaken. The idea of individuality as opposite to the community. Individuality makes sense if we are in a context with others, also with the arts. The idea in Damanhur is that everybody's an artist and everybody expressed individually. But when we want to create something that can speak to the gods or access different fields, then it has to be a people's art. It has to express the values of all of us, just like in Toltec, when they were doing something that was meant for humanity. That was not the expression of one single artist, but it was the artists together that were channeling a different way to communicate through the arts. Then it became sacred. And this can be done only if we start recreating peoples around the world. Communities is one step. When we create the sacred space the community can reach, then it becomes a people. And then there is no limit.
Yes, I was in a circle doing some teaching on Thursday night. One of the women there had been in northern Minnesota, and she'd been with friends camping, and she said, I want to remind us all that we talk about humans as if we're not animals. We're a pack animal, she said, and we have to recapture that. And she told us about this experience of being at a campfire with a group of people like we have here gathered today, only they were around a campfire. And they had heard that the wolves had been coming back to this area, but they didn't know. And so they decided as a group to start howling like wolves. And lo and behold, a pack of wolves began to answer them. And then a second pack of wolves joined in the conversation. So a pack of humans, and then there was a pack of wolves over here, and there was a pack of wolves over there. And I said, wow, that's on my bucket list. I want to do that. and the sense that we have, that we can feel right now, as I can feel it right now, that as we begin to connect as humans in community, even in this way, even though it's not quite up to snuff in terms of being with each other, person to person, can feel the power of being with each other and what that does. So, okay, now Sheila, I was still talking with you for a moment. Now, you're a part of our another community. There's the Toltec community, and then Damanhur, and now we're talking for a few moments about the Earth Tribe and an immersion in the Earth Tribe that you have quite a bit of input about concerning.
So first of all, thank you, Asperide, for what you said. I'm with you on all that. And we get to experience that also here in Wimberley with the Earth Tribe immersion. So when we're looking for a way to immerse ourselves in nature and looking for a way to become part of a community, what we've created here in Wimberley is what we call Earth Tribe immersion. And it's an opportunity for people to steep themselves in Earth Tribe shamanism and in this beautiful nature eco field in Wimberley, where we get to experience the climate change, flooding experience. We get to experience the beautiful sacred Blanco River and Jacob's Well and the beautiful water features here in Wimberley that are so energetically radiant in our community. The Earth Tribe immersion has two forms now. It's either a week long or a weekend. And it's an opportunity to become more intimately connected with nature and intimately connected with this community called the Earth Tribe. So we walk the river, we go to Jacob's Well, we go to Pedernales Falls, Enchanted Rock, local sacred places, feeling the energy here. We interview and meet different Earth Tribe members, and we have a variety of experiences that take us deeper into our own beings, as well as into this ecology, and also into the community of Earth Tribe. And it's really fun.
So for those of you who can't maybe go to Italy with us, you can come spend some time here and experience that. And by the way, Asperity, we're learning about what we're calling an eco-village alliance here in this valley, because our valley, we think, may have some similarities with the valley where you are. And so we're really wanting to link these two and learn from you when we're there, so we can translate that here to our place. And maybe we'll have a little Damanhurian feature here that we can co-create together.
Wonderful. And if I can say, we also have, as you know, had for quite a few years intensive work connected to Damanhur in California. And we have 3 days of Damanhurian rituals over the summer solstice, right before the pilgrimage. So if somebody cannot come to Italy, a little bit of taste could be had there. Yeah,
and I want to say that reminds me that Wisdom Graduate School and University is going to award Asperity an honorary doctor's degree in June. So and so we're gonna have an experience like this where you make a speech and so on. So we'll send out information about that a little later on. So I want to open the circle now to the larger community. I want to bring you in, Kathy Williams.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy. Kathy's speaking. Where are you speaking from?
I'm speaking from Eagan, Minnesota, which is a suburb of St. Paul.
Yeah. Well, you're up there where the wolves howl.
I'd like to hear that. I think that might be on my bucket list too.
Yeah, so before, I want to hear something about your experience with a Vision Quest, but first, what's your response so far today to Asperity?
Well, I am just absolutely fascinated and enthusiastic about what I'm hearing. And as she's speaking, I'm sitting here trying to figure out a way I could make this trip happen because it sounds so exciting. And I made some notes because I'm really interested in that ability to get into that energy field of changing how you view the past and the future. I think that's a very hopeful way to look at things, and I look for that.
Yeah, good. And so there's been a little taste of that in your life and in your Vision Quest process that you've been with us and the Earth Tribe. So you want to tell us a couple of headlines about that?
Well, you know, I've got about a little bit of journaling, and I was wondering if I maybe could share that about my experience. I thought it kind of fit a little bit with what we're talking about, and specifically Mother's Day. So if that's okay with you, it's about 2 minutes, maybe?
Sure, go for it.
All right, so it starts from deep inside her body. Mother Earth pushes her children forward. The children are mountains and large boulders and rock formation. Mother Earth's babies are her stones, and they carry the DNA of her life's work. The faces of the Great Mother's children call me to look into their eyes and to hear their song. The song of the mother's pain and the struggle to birth a new consciousness, a new life she wishes to bring forward. Our mother is the child of the ever-evolving universe that folds and unfolds the infinite mass and energy of the cosmos. It is from this great mystery I am called to midwife Earth's labor. An ancient remembering comes to me as I gaze into the mother's beauty all around. I feel daunted by the task, and yet I have a knowing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So in some sense, I know you're talking about how we in community can give birth to the universe.
Right.
Yeah. So give us just a few sentences about your experience of sitting in the circle as a vision faster.
Well, this particular journaling comes from looking down at the ground and seeing the faces of children in the rocks, and their eyes open to me, and speaking with them and developing a communication with them, and actually singing with them and hearing their songs. Mm-hmm. And at first it felt playful, but as I've looked at this further since my quest, it's started to be extremely meaningful.
Yeah, and you received a tribal name.
I did. My tribal name is Birthing Fox, and I did see a mother fox as well.
A mother fox came by your circle.
Right, came by the circle, and at first, very purposeful. I was really amazed by it, and at first I thought I really didn't see it. I had to kind of convince myself that really happened, and later on I was convinced I heard kits or her young pups speaking or whimpering or barking, I don't know, and I tried to dismiss that too, but I realized when you're in a vision space, things can look very different.
Thank you so much, Kathy. And I hope you find a way to go with us. So I'm going to now call on Patricia Koch over in Austin. So
okay. I was just reflecting on how the Vision Quest actually offered this great opportunity to connect with your land. And I was sitting at the bottom of a spring that runs through your land, and how just sitting there with the water.
So as I was saying, just sitting there with the water provided such a deep connection with how the water moved through the roots and the very fine hairs of the trees that were all around me, and how they moved up into the trees, up into the grass, up into the clouds, and then turned as raindrops. And experiencing that whole cycle, sitting in that beautiful place in your land, was transformative. And it's interesting that you asked us to share, because there were a couple of messages. One was that the water is so precious, and to just really have this deep connection with the preciousness of the water. And another message was about how we are made up of water and how words affect our own molecular structure. And that it's important to be aware of that in the way that we speak and with other beings and plants and the cosmos.
Yeah, thank you. And you received a tribal name.
Right. My tribal name is Water Spirit.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Okay, so I want to come back to Asperity now. You've kind of heard some different people responding to you from their different communities, and as you listen to Heather Ash, Sheila, and Patricia, and Kathy, and so on, speaking from different communities, how are you responding to what they're saying?
Well, what I would say is that fundamental that we can connect, that we know that we exist, that we know nobody is alone. And this is, I think, is so important. And that besides the praying together and the reconnection with the earth and the elements in the cosmos, which are fundamental, we also need to find ways to make practical actions. More and more, practical action that make a difference in society. Because as Itharash was saying, we are the hope. It's not going to come from any other place. We are the hope, and if we are the hope, it has to become concrete. We have to make it so that other people see it. And it cannot just be a feeling. It has to be a feeling and an energy that pushes us into concrete social action.
Yes. And I was just, as you're talking, I'm feeling grateful to the visionary founder of Damanhur, Falco, who had the sense of bringing together different elders from different communities around the world. And I'm just feeling the power of these different communities. And I was having a fantasy of your coming to our Earth tribe or to the pyramids in Teotihuacan.
Well, when you were talking about it, I was seriously already going through my mind how that happened. So I was thinking, we'll see. It would be wonderful.
Yeah. We could really cook up something in that kind of brew.
Yeah. Yes. So let's see what we can create when we are together, also in person, not only like through the air.
Yeah, and as I understand it, Damanhur, one of the great arts is cooking.
Yes, you will enjoy that for sure when you come. You'll see.
That's beautiful.
There's a good Italian tradition.
Yes. So let's see. I think we have time for one more person. Hello, Mary Sue from Houston.
Well, I just want to say that I am so happy I joined this call. One can forget how powerful these conversations can be. And I'm reconnecting with a lot of my own experiences. And I just want to say this, I know you don't have a lot of time. One of our practices in the Earth Tribe is our Earth Dance. And a few years ago, I don't remember exactly, maybe 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to do the direction of ancestors in that dance. And kind of the theme of that dance was healing all the way back and all the way forward. And I'm really connected with that energy that I had through this conversation. And I wish I could figure out how to go to Italy too. That's
yeah. Well, we'll see if Spirit can open up some doors for a number of us, and it's good. Well, we've reached the top of the hour, and I want to circle back first to Heather Ash and have you make any comments before we conclude our circle today.
I'd like to close by just all of us taking a moment to reach out from this community that we've created today, to reach out to touch and feel the people at Damanhur through the link we have now, and to reach out to Earth Tribe and to reach out to the Toltec community, and then to really just feel all the people that you're connected to. To take this beautiful energy that we've raised today, this sense of hope, and just link it to all the beings that you know. And make a commitment today to take some action to connect to your community, to your local community, to take some action to bring the potency of our call today and bring it to the people around you, and see what can you shift and change.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone. What a beautiful call.
Yeah.
Gratitude.
And Esperidae, coming back to you for a closing comment.
My closing comment would be that if people want to come to Damanhur, the opportunity to come with you, it's very important. First of all, because Damanhur is based on the idea of groups, so coming in a group makes the experience much more deep and more interesting, and also because of who you are and the work that you do will give us and all the participants a really unique opportunity to be part of this weaving of wisdom and energies around the planet.
Oh, I love that. That's really a good place to close, the weaving together of wisdom, and all of the people from around the globe who are joining us in this call. And it's such a privilege for all of us to link. And I'll just say a privilege for me. I'm so grateful for all of you taking a few moments out on a Saturday, the first Saturday, to be a part of this. And I'll just say that next month in June, we'll have Georgie Szabo from Budapest. Who
She's adorable. She's wonderful.
Yes, yeah. So we'll be talking about conscious evolution in community.
Nice.
So that'll be good. So, Jude, you want to bring us to a close?
Sure. I'm going to do a little chant in honor of mothering everywhere, and particularly for the Great Mother and for our Mother, the Earth. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. The earth is our mother, she will take care of us. Her precious ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Her precious ground we walk upon, with every step we take. Hey yana ho yana, hey yan yan. The earth is our mother, we must take care of her. Aho! Happy Mother's Day to our mother.
All right.
Oh.
Blessings to everybody, and thank you again, and we'll see you next month.
Aho.
Oh.